Hey guys, it's me. It has been quite some time since the last time you saw me. Uh, Tried to give an update probably back in December, but unfortunately the video never uploaded. So I guess this is now the opportunity to kind of let you guys know everything that's been going on. So as you guys know, I am gay. Been married about 10 years, or sorry, married 5 years, together 10 years. And we are now in the process of getting divorced. It was interesting because I found myself in this situation back in December. Even before that, actually, let me step back. In preparation for this video, I actually went back and watched some of my previous videos on here, just so I could kind of get an idea of the last things you guys remembered and what I've been. I thought it would give me the opportunity to figure out what direction to go in since then. So what I realized is that I was not very happy. When I kind of look back retrospectively at my life and where I was when I first started making these videos, I was in a place where I was trying to figure out who I was or my purpose in life or where I was headed. And it wasn't a very easy road. It was kind of challenging to find all that. And so, in trying to figure all that out, kind of led me on this journey, right? And the funny thing about life is the journeys that you end up on aren't typically the journeys that you think you'll be on. And when life kind of shifts where it's at and shifts the direction that you're going in, I think that there are a couple of different things or a couple of different ways you can really take those situations, you know? So there's always the possibility that you can, take this traumatic moment and, not do very well with it, experience a lot of pain and suffering, and really struggle in trying to figure out where you're going, how you feel, where you are mentally. And for me, it was even more challenging than that. And I feel like the reason for that is I found out not so long ago that I am what they call a codependent. And so essentially what codependency is, and I'm no pro on the situation, but codependency can be defined, I'm looking it up, is a behavioral condition in a relationship where one person enables another person's addiction, poor mental health, immaturity, irresponsibility, or underachievement. And it's more than that. For me, I've always felt like I was this selfless person, this giver, always giving of myself. And the truth of the matter is I don't know how accurate that was, I think that I was always kind of giving, and could never figure out why I wasn't getting any back. And it felt like I just continually was putting myself in these situations where I was overextending myself and giving to people and it would just like suck my energy dry, you know? And honestly, it felt like I was like addicted to these types of situations. Um, and so, kind of, I know I'm jumping around, just stick with me, folks. Um, so, going into like December of last year, things started getting a little bit challenging for me when it came to like my relationship, you know? Or even before then, stepping all the way back to when I started making these videos, I had this sense of like not knowing who I was and this yearning to like figure out who I was in this world and what direction I was going in. And for some reason, like I was just unable to attain that, you know? And so I kept pushing and pushing and trying to figure it out. Like, you know, who am I? What do I mean in this world? What is my purpose? And that's why, again, I started making these videos. I was trying to figure out who I was. And I just couldn't get there. It always felt like I was being shaded from myself, you know? Like I was a passenger in this role, which was my life. And I could never become like the lead where I knew what was going to happen next or what the character was feeling like or how things were going. And I realized in my relationship that it played out there as well. I was having these tendencies where I was giving a lot to the other person, and I didn't feel like I was getting the same amount back. And it's funny, I know, it seems like I'm going full circle and chasing my tails, and you guys are like, my tail, and you guys are like, what are you doing? I ended up talking to my best friend, and both of us have like a very similar background, the way that we grew up. Both of us grew up in an alcoholic environment. And so right around like November, December, I was telling her about some of the challenges I was having in my relationship. And she said, yeah, well, you're having those difficulties because you're a codependent. And I'm like, what the hell is a codependent? And am I a codependent? You know, like, how does that work? How does she know I'm a codependent? And so I, at first, thought she was full of shit and didn't bother to, you know, read up on it or check up on it or figure out if there was any, you know, basis for what she said. And then probably in like the beginning of December, I ended up, my husband and I were living together in not the house that we purchased, and it was a home that we purchased from one of his family members, and the house was like falling apart. When we purchased it, it looked like it was in really good condition. We didn't do any inspections or anything like that and assumed that it was in really good shape. Well, just so happened when we got in there, or purchased it and got in there and tried to do superficial changes to it, we realized this place is somewhat of a hot mess. So as we were, you know, moving through it and doing work on the place, we found out that the flooring had asbestos. So my husband, you know, we took up some of the old flooring, and there was like this weird powdery substance underneath the floor. And my husband had been like walking back and forth on it, and every time he walked back and forth on it, he would say, oh, like my feet itch. I don't know what's going on. My feet are so itchy. I kept telling him, like, I don't know. It seems very weird to me that your feet would be itchy. I wonder if there's asbestos. And only reason that I wondered that is I knew the age of the home was like a 1960s home. And I remembered that, you know, right around that era is when everybody was really, 50s, 60s is when asbestos was like a big thing. Asbestos tiles and all sorts of like asbestos insulation. So I wondered if that could possibly be the culprit. And so 1 week I had to go out of town on business, and I asked him to check the flooring, find someone to come in and test it to see if there was something wrong with the flooring. And he did, and we found out, actually, as I was on my way back home from working out of state, that the flooring had asbestos in it. And they said it wasn't really safe for us to stay in the home at that point because there was so much asbestos and it was exposed. So my husband said, hey, you're on your way down. Why don't you stop at your best friend's house, stay with your best friend? I will continue to live here in our home. And then, as soon as the asbestos is taken care of, you can come back. Well, we did that. And then things started to fall apart. So I was up there and we were working on the remediation, and it was just taking a lot of time. And in the course of, fixing it, I, first, like right off the bat, that first week that I was at my best friend's house, I ended up getting really sick. And in retrospect, I don't know if it was a cold or a flu. It could have been something else. But I literally was like in the house for a week, feeling like I was going to die. And I was just not doing good. And that's actually when I made the last video that I made for this page that never ended up uploading for some strange reason. I made the video and I essentially said, like, I didn't know if I was okay. I didn't know if I was going to make it. This seemed like a very, intense cold. And, on top of it all, I was there in my best friend's house by myself, horribly sick. I was hoping that my husband would come and, take care of me. He was in the middle of having a very, tough time at work, but I wasn't doing very good. And he kept, kind of downplaying, how bad I was feeling, So anyway, that was kind of, the last video. And then what ended up happening is we then went on to, continue to live separately. It was, as I said, in December, this is when that happened. The floors hadn't been fixed yet because of the holidays. Around December, if you don't know, if you're not a homeowner or if you've never owned a home, it's exceptionally difficult to get somebody to work on your house. It's the holidays. People really aren't interested in coming and working on your home. They want to stay home with their own families and enjoy themselves, which is understandable. So we kind of cruised through December. January, things were very strained with my husband and I could tell that something was up. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what direction we were going in, but I knew that whatever direction we were going in, it wasn't a good one, I started to plan my 36th birthday party. I was really feeling at that point in life, coming off the heels of being sick and feeling very alone. I was starting to feel I just needed good energy around me, friends and whoever else I could get around me. So what I did was, I thought, New Orleans is one of my favorite places in the world. I'm gonna plan a party, and I'll invite my friends, and if they can, make their way there, I will take them on some excursions, and we'll see some interesting things. And so we ended up doing that. And of course, I, made sure my husband was going to be there. He's my husband. But we went out and saw a couple of plantations, and it was really neat. We saw one plantation, the Oak Alley plantation, which gives you kind of the perspective of what it was like living on that plantation as the owners. And then we went to the Whitney plantation after, and the Whitney plantation gives essentially shows you the lifestyle of the slaves that were on, or the enslaved that were on the plantation. So we kind of got to see both sides. I got to see some of my friends that I hadn't seen in a long time. It was really amazing seeing them. And at the same time, it felt bittersweet. Things between my husband and I weren't good. And I kept thinking to myself, I don't even know if this is gonna continue, if this is going to work, you know? So we continued along, and I just remember at my birthday dinner, we had everyone's there for my birthday, but I actually had like a special dinner at one of the restaurants, the really nice restaurants there. And I remember sitting there thinking through dinner, like, I don't know if this is gonna work, and I was like very emotional and crying, and I was thinking like, I don't know if my relationship is gonna last, you know? And so we came home from New Orleans, and not even a week later, I was getting ready to go and have dinner with some of my friends, and some friends that I made in the area where my best friend lives, which is my hometown. And I'm sitting in the car, and my husband called me, and we got in like this big argument, and we decided that we were going to get a divorce. And it's just so crazy, you know? You leave your home for work, you get hit with this news about asbestos, you can't come home, and then adding to that, you know, then you're getting a divorce, and then after the divorce thing, we're kind of in the midst of me getting, you know, us deciding we're getting a divorce. Corona started to hit in China, so it just felt like a lot going on, you know? And for me, I've always, when things start to go wrong, I have this tendency to like hold on to anything that I can, you know, whether it's people or things, like, you know, possessions. I just have this tendency to hold on to them, hoping that, like, you know, by holding on to them, I'll like have some type of stability in whatever the change is that's transpiring. And the truth of the matter is, this time around, it felt different. And I knew and I remembered, you know, a few times in life when I'd like held on to things, I'd held and grasped so tightly that I was suffocating the things that I was holding on to, you know? And I made this conscious effort to no longer hold on so tightly to the things that were leaving me, or the things that I love. Life is like so what's the word I'm looking for? It's just so hard to grasp the way that life works. It doesn't happen in a straight path. There are twists and turns and curves, and you really can't, you know, make a plan and think that that's how your life is gonna be. Like, you're just gonna have to roll with the punches. And for me, again, kind of going back to me being this codependent, my life had consisted of like really holding on to the people around me and basing my happiness on how they felt and how they were dealing with things, you know? So I just found myself in this spot where I was trying not to hold on to anything, and really all I had and all I could think to do was to exercise. So the part that I didn't tell you about my cold in December is, over the course of a week, I lost 20 pounds. And I don't know if you can see the difference between like today and back then if you watch my other videos, but there's like a stark difference. I had lost a lot of weight, and so I thought to myself, okay, well, I've already lost 20 pounds without wanting to. How about I try to lose a little more? And so in the midst of everything going on, not knowing how anything was going to turn out, I just started to run. And every day I would walk and run and walk and run. And instead of, you know, when people would say, hey, do you want to go for lunch or dinner? Instead of driving there, I would say, you know, let me know like an hour ahead, and I'm going to walk to the restaurant and I'll see you there, you know? And so I just started to like think and process things as I walked. And in my head, I started calling it meditation and movement, because I felt that as opposed to sitting in the house and trying to process things, when I was out on the street walking and moving, it was easier for me to like process everything that I was going through. And I mean, little by little, it really just started to unfold to me, or like occur to me, how unhappy I was, and how a lot of that was because I didn't know who I was independently from anybody else, any of my loved ones. And I decided that I needed to start to work on myself, you know? And in doing that, I took that information that my best friend gave me about being a codependent, and I did a little research, found out what it meant, found out the characteristics of a codependent, and honestly, like, I check all the boxes. Like, when you look at the list of what a codependent is, like, I'm a codependent. I am manipulative sometimes. I don't have a good grasp on my own feelings. I don't know when somebody's like disinterested in me, or if they're like trying to brush me off. Like I'm not great at a lot of the challenges that a codependent has. And so lucky for me, like, you know, as I'm coming into all these realizations, Corona hit. I was super stressed because I didn't have a job, I didn't have work, I didn't know where I was going or how I was going to get there. I was unable to move out on my own. It was just really stressful. My husband said that he was going to help me, and then he like backed out on trying to help me. So the lucky part of it, I was saying, I was lucky enough that Corona hit, and a lot of these codependent meetings that were previously in person then became virtual, and they were being done on Zoom. And so I was able to kind of attend these meetings without putting myself out there, as far as like sitting in a room with complete strangers. Not to say that it wasn't challenging still, because I was still, you know, on this conference call with tons of other strangers, and you know, they don't force you to share, but at some points your life gets so challenging that you feel like you need to share. And the format is a little, to me initially was a little off-putting, if I'm being honest. I just felt as if, you know, because in the format you share and people don't give you any feedback. And it's that in itself, for somebody who's codependent, is very challenging. Like, you strive to have other people validate how you feel, you know? And when you're not giving that or given that, it makes it just like a little bit more challenging for you, you know? So anyway, so I ended up starting to go to the meetings, and I really was able to see myself in a lot of the people that were going to these meetings. It really gave me perspective and made me realize that, you know, yeah, even though sometimes I can't see it, I am going through a really hard time, and I am having negative emotions and positive emotions, and those emotions are valid, and I need to find a way to process them. And so I, you know, started doing work on myself, and reading a lot and meditating a lot and doing yoga and doing my walks. And I felt like I was starting to process everything that was happening. And I just kept asking the divine, whoever was out there, you know, like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm doing my best not to hold on to anything, you know, any material possessions or anything in my life. I'm just trying to let things kind of go with the flow. Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me figure out where I am, or who I am, or where I want to be? And things started to like show up, you know? I was blessed enough to come on this trip with one of my really good friends. They rented this beautiful house in Utah because my friend was doing some surgery and they needed someone to be there for them. And I was never reluctant. Immediately, I wanted to go. I wanted to help my friend. But I was a little apprehensive because I knew that for myself, I was in this transitional period and I didn't want, like, whatever I was going through to impact my friend, you know? So they said, come on out. I want you to, come. There's some healers that I use out here. I want you to meet with healers and, work on yourself, which has been a blessing. So I came out to Utah. I've been here for 2 weeks. I've met with this awesome healer. He's a shaman. It seemed very odd to me at first. I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this. But as I've gone through the process and worked with him, first of all, I can 100% feel his presence. I know, before our first meeting, I was running a little late to get to the meeting. So probably 5 minutes before the meeting, I was driving there and I could literally feel somebody's presence, like somebody sitting in the car with me. And it felt like the person was telling me, hey, don't worry, take your time to get here. When you get here, you'll get here, And when I got to his office and sat down, he asked me why I was there, asked me a little bit about myself. And he said, oh yeah, I was scanning you right before you got here, which is insane, And he had said, yeah, you were running late, but I was trying to reassure you that it was fine, that you were okay, which is insane, And then he started doing some work on me, and the work was so good, so divine. It really helped me to process some things that were going on in my childhood, And the thing with a lot of, some of these healers is they realize that some of the pain and issues that you have in your life presently and in your body are directly tied to trauma that you had in your childhood, So he helped me work through it, and I can't even tell you, it was night and day when I was done with the session with him. I literally felt like I was 1,000 pounds lighter, and I felt so much better about myself and didn't feel stressed. So I've been going to those. I'm trying to work on myself. I'm getting back into, I had a little altitude sickness out here because it's so much higher up than Florida, where I'm from. But I've been I think I have my altitude sickness taken care of now. So I've been walking again and or hiking now that I'm in the outdoors. I get to hike. But yeah, I've just been continuing to work on myself. So I guess going forward, and I haven't been good about staying on these videos consistently, but I'm gonna do my best to try and continue these conversations with you guys, and hopefully what I'm putting out, I don't know if it will affect anybody out there, if it will help anybody out there, but like I said in some of my earlier videos, I'm hoping that by putting these videos out, I'm really impacting people that are out there that might be going through the same types of things. Yeah, so it was good catching up with you guys. As usual, please feel free to like and comment and follow me. Also, because I kind of want to share my journey. I'm not too good at journaling with pen and paper, but I think that by sharing some of what I'm going through, maybe I can help someone out there. Yeah, at least that's my hope. Anyway, it's nice seeing you guys. Bye.